The NFL has rules for a reason, not the least of which that they're trying to not just protect the players, but protect the sanctity of the game itself. If you break the rules, you're going to be punished, and if you continue to break the rules, especially the ones that are deemed vital to maintaining the integrity of the game, you're going to get banned, and many players have gotten the ban hammer because of that. Allow us to show you some. Be sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Number 4. Michal Vick. This one is a little tricky because obviously Michal Vick wasn't fully banned from the league, but he came very close, and it honestly was a coin flip that he was able to come back at all. When Michal Vick started in the NFL with the Atlanta Falcons, he was considered one of the best in the league. He was breaking stereotypes put against black quarterbacks and was helping bring a new running style to the NFL, one that is living strong today via players like Lamar Jackson. But the infamous dogfighting ring that he and his friends had set up in his mansion would eventually cost him everything, both literally and figuratively. In that, he was forced to pay back millions to the Falcons because he couldn't complete his NFL contract before going to jail. And then his creditors took even more so that he had to file for bankruptcy. His banning fate would be decided after 2 years as Michal Vick met with the NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell, and the two had a long talk. Roger noted that he could have banned him very easily, but he said that if Vick was to come back, he would have to commit to his new role as an advocate for animal rights, as well as being an extension of the NFL and teaching young players what not to do in the game. Vick agreed, and he was brought back to the NFL. He was able to make a living again, playing with the Philadelphia Eagles, and even was able to pay back everything that he owed. He's a redemption story in many ways, but he also is a cautionary tale of just how close he touched the line of getting banned before being pulled back. And many people still think that Vick is a criminal and shouldn't have been allowed back at all. Number 3. Ben Roethlisberger. Here's another tricky one because obviously Ben Roethlisberger is still in the NFL, but just like Michal Vick, he came really close to going and getting himself banned. And you could argue that his crime was much worse than Vick's. To put it simply, he had an assault charge put on him by a woman from a nightclub, saying he forced himself on her and had inappropriate relations, even stating that some of his teammates were there to protect him and ensure no one walked in on the act. Ben obviously denied this, and as a result, a lengthy investigation was put on, even going to court where the prosecutors for the case ruled that they couldn't prove Ben guilty beyond a reasonable doubt, which meant that he wasn't guilty, but he wasn't innocent either. Roger Goodell took the ball and ran with it, if you will, and made it so that Ben Roethlisberger was suspended 6 games for violating the conduct policy of the NFL, even forcing Ben to undergo therapy and training to ensure that something like this never happened again. While many praise Goodell for what he did, the same could not be said for people's thoughts on Ben Roethlisberger. They felt he got away with a heinous crime, and that cloud has hung over his head ever since. Number 2. Antonio Brown. Antonio Brown might just go down as one of the most talented players to not play anymore because he couldn't get his act together. He made a name for himself with the Pittsburgh Steelers, then went to Oakland to try his hand there. But his personality got him in trouble once again, and thus he was given via waivers to the New England Patriots. But when that happened, before he could even play a few games for them, he was brought up on charges that included assault. The Patriots dropped him, and though the NFL didn't ban him permanently, no team is going to touch him because of the baggage he brings both legally and personality-wise. Number 1. Colin Kaepernick. It's almost poetic to end on Colin Kaepernick because he's another player who hasn't been officially banned, but agreed he's been banned behind closed doors. Colin Kaepernick came out of college and made a big splash once the 49ers let him play, even leading them to a Super Bowl, but then he took a knee during the national anthem in order to protest police brutality and violence in the NFL. The controversy over what his taking the knee meant exploded and put the NFL and more in a firestorm that is all the more relevant now via the murder of George Floyd. He was eventually let go by the 49ers, and despite being in peak shape, no one would pick him up. Not for many seasons, and he's still not signed now. This was a clear blacklisting in the eyes of the public by owners who didn't want anything to do with him because of what he represented. Many are hoping that the upcoming NFL season will finally see him return to the NFL. but many are wondering if this owner ban will continue. And there you have it, a look at the many players who have found themselves banned from the NFL for one reason or another. Can you believe how many players have been banned in the NFL's history? Which of these do you find to be the worst offense of all? Do you think that more players will be banned in the next few years? Let us know in the comments below. Be sure to subscribe and I'll see you next time on the channel.